Roger. Ready to move out. Hey, and welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman. Hey, I got four things that I'm gonna go into tonight. Yeah, four things. Okay, concerning the show, and there are a couple of things that as you all know, I'm probably one of the most unfiltered people that you will probably listen to or see, and and try to stick to a lot of the ongoing topics that we have, and just kind of open your mind a little bit to certain things. As I often, as I say, sometimes we have to give the ridiculous a try. Okay. Now, the first thing, this is something that I ran across, and I had to think about this, and it goes into something me and my engineer were talking about just before, just off air. Sometimes we have to think about when we're doing something and the name, the name that we're using, and we have to and sometimes we have to dig a little deeper on what the meaning is, or why we chose that. And so I say that because I want to go I find it was relatively interesting. Okay, there's a particular rapper, they have this name, and I and it just didn't make sense to me for this person to have that name, because if you understand the demographics, and if you understand the terminology of the particular name that they selected, you would ask yourself, it kind of moves the cobwebs around in your head, stirs it up, like, that does, let me think about that for a minute. So the end of the rapper I'm talking about, and most of you all probably know, because I didn't know who this person was until they quote unquote had an act of violence committed against them, and I kind of had to run with that, as I tend to do with particular things. The rapper I'm referencing is Megan Stallion. Megan D Stallion. D Thee Stallion. Now, let's get into the word stallion. Okay? Let's get into that. Now, let's and when I say get into it, I'm gonna dive right into the meat of this thing. What is she trying to tell us? Or did she already say it? Hmm. Okay. Once again, Megan the Stallion. What is she trying to say? Or has she already said it? And a lot of us, and a lot of you, it just went over your head because you're looking at the face, the bod. Got to think about this. Think about the environment that we are currently living in when it comes to people and names and certain pseudonyms that they use. Operative word in that, stallion. I want, if anybody's got, okay, and this is for the old heads. Look, get a dictionary if you got one. And truth be told, everybody should have a hard copy dictionary. I know everybody want to run to Google, but at the same time, you want to keep your mind fresh instead of always relying on technology. Now, you're looking up the word stallion. Okay, operative word in that, a stallion is a male horse that is specifically designed for breeding. Operative word, a male horse. Stallion, male, male, breeding purposes. And she calls herself the stallion. Hmm. Let's think about that for a minute, people. Let's think about that. Because understand something, there's a bunch of individuals out there that look like one thing, but in actuality are something else. Now, don't shoot the messenger. That's just how my mind works. When I see something, I'm investigating it. I kind of pick it apart and say, why? Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. That just doesn't click. But it's individuals. It's a lot of people out here drooling over this. And here's the thing. Now, like I said, the only way I knew who this person was when it popped up in the news that the Stallion was involved in a crime against her. Okay. Her boyfriend, who hey, it is what it is, at the time, shot her in the feet, not the foot, but shot her in her shot him in his feet. Okay. And he was only charged with aggravated battery with a firearm, only because he did not discharge this weapon above the knees, anywhere between under the armpits and the knees. That would be considered, you can be charged with attempted murder or aggravated battery. I'm sorry, attempted murder. Now, this is on, this is only my opinion. This is only my opinion. Now, say for the sake of argument, now here's the other thing. Say for the sake of argument, this could be one of them down low brothers that get out like that like that kind of flavor in their coffee, so to speak. Maybe. We don't know, but it's so much going on out there right now till everything is suspect. If you go to Atlanta, this is a hotbed for running into dudes that look like women, and I mean some of them, and from what's being said and what you see is that some of them look better than actual women, and you are tricked, you are fooled. Here's the thing about that. Now, look, if that is your flavor, if that's what you into, listen, if this is who you are, it is you have an obligation to tell people the truth. Don't deceive someone, because that is how acts of violence are committed against persons, alternative persons, transgender, lesbians, gay, when you're not upfront with them. Okay. See, there's the problem right there, because either you're not being upfront, because you're either ashamed of what you are, what you become, and you don't want to be isolated, but it's a little late for that. Now, just saying for the sake of argument, let's just say, okay, they went to, the dude and the Stallion went to a party. They went to a party, and apparently, um, it was kind of heated at the time, but then the argument, the drama began to escalate while they were in the car. Now, hey, far be it for me to say, hey, I wasn't there, but we can kind of speculate because these things have happened. Okay, this guy, hey, was he was expecting a peach and reached in the grocery bag and found a banana and grapes. He was highly upset. Shot her in the feet. Okay, I'm just saying, don't shoot. Hey, don't. I'm just saying, but it's just kind of suspect that you would pick a name like this, and then this act of violence is perpetrated against you. But at the same time, it's a whole there's several other things that go into the dynamics. But before I get too far into the show, if you got a comment, or you want to you got a comment, please give me a call here at the station at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953 if you have a comment on tonight's topic. But that is, that's only my opinion. That's only my opinion, and that's one of the beauties of these shows, is that it's just an opinion. It doesn't have, it's not fact. You just kind of have to expand your expand your mind, your thinking, and saying, hey, that kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. Let me look at this a little bit more. Let me look at this now. Um, the next, moving on. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but that's just giving you a little bit of something to think about. A little bit of something to think about. Moving on. I hope everyone had a excellent had a really good Thanksgiving. I'm pretty much sure my engineer had a pretty decent one. And every and but it was I know it was a little different this year because a lot of us couldn't travel and be with loved ones, and not to forget not to forget the people that we've lost this year also, who are not here to partake in this. Okay, we definitely have to remember that. It is what it is, that people, they highly recommended that you did not travel, but people in their infinite wisdom, some did travel. Some people they just not taking this serious enough. But anyway, what's really funny, and and in the process, this is every year, I would always wonder, when I went into the store this year and just watching the people go in and shop and do what they're doing. But the most amazing thing, while watching us black people, watching a lot of us, watching them go in and buying troughs, troughs, and frozen bags of chitlins. I'm trying to understand that. Basically, and then wait, I kid you not, I can't make this up. I'm not that clever. I seen one individual, they had six, I kid you not, six buckets. Preferably, I call it as a bucket of shit, because that's exactly what it is. Now let's get into the dynamics of chitlins, people, because see, once again, we're still eating what the master left us. When we were on the plantation, and the master in the big house, he ate the best part of the pig. He ate the best part of the cow, or the beef. He ate the best part, and he gave us the scraps. Subsequently, the things that he didn't eat: the pigtails, the pig feet, the pig snout, the pig ears, even the head, pig tongues, jowls, all of that. And the best part was the chitlins. The best part. Now, I'm sure that if you've gone to anyone's house, or you're my age, and you've gone over to, say, your grandmother's house years ago, or someone's house, or a friend, or whatever, and you walk in, and you know that their chitlins have the most distinct odor, not smell, but odor, the most odor distinct odor. Now, if you ever thought about this for a minute, and you ask yourself, you hear people say, "Oh my goodness, it smells like hot shit." That's exactly what chitlins is. It smells because it's the intestine of the pig. You're seeing people sitting there and cleaning chitlins, cleaning them. You wonder what all that brown stuff is, all that dark stuff? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Pig poop. That's exactly what it is. And then you're gonna sit there and you're gonna eat that. Oh, wait a minute now. Hold on, wait a minute. Chitlins are not chitlins unless you got hot sauce, because then you put the hot sauce on there to retard the smell and the taste. Does that make sense? Does that even make sense to you at all? Here is an animal. Here is an animal that doesn't have sense enough to walk away from his own feces, but will turn around and consume them. And then you want to eat that. I couldn't believe it. It was just, and I just said, at some point or another, and then at the same time, this particular item also creates a severe health issue for those in the black community. It creates it is a health issue, because we are consuming something that is not meant to be eaten, as I said before, and it was just uh, 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 some to a point where it's unbelievable. But now we have to get to a point to where we say, yeah, it is believable. It's absolutely believable now. Absolutely believable. We're still in the, it's nothing wrong with saying, okay, let me try to get away from that. Okay, the traditional thing is that we're having the ham, and and the hog maws, and but the chitlins is just something that I could never understand, or let alone fathom that there's something. If it don't, first of all, if it don't smell right to me, I'm not eating it. If it doesn't smell right, let's just call it what it is. I'm just not. It's just not happening. Just not happening. That's the, you might as well tell me. People will say, well, you can't pour syrup on shit and call it pancakes. Well, that's what you're doing. Exactly that's what it is. That's I don't know what I can't even begin to think. I don't know what else to tell you. I really don't. Really don't. Now, the other thing, and these are just, the first two topics, just giving you something. It's just giving you something to think about, kind of moistening your palate a little bit, moistening your palate. Okay. Let's get into this nightmare, the shit show of politics of an election that we are in. Okay. We're going to get into, I'm going to roast Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. Now, just the other day, just yesterday. Now, here's the question, people. Think about this. This is what everybody ran out there and completely voted for this circus clown. Okay. Now the story that's been spent, that they're saying, the news report has it that Joe Biden has several hairline fractures in his foot. Several hairline fractures in his foot. Okay, and then they stop with that. Then the other story, then they hooked the other story of, oh, he was playing with his dog and he tripped over it, and that's how he broke his foot. Are we sure that that's the actual story, or the fact that Joe Biden went to sleep standing up and fell and tried to catch himself, or he fell asleep while falling down a flight of stairs? If you've ever seen somebody sleep and falling down a flight of stairs, let me tell you, it's the funniest thing that you will ever see in your life. Really. I mean, here it is. You got this 78-year-old guy who's now the president elect, and he wants to run the country. He can't stand up straight. He gets taken out by his dog. Are you kidding me? Something just doesn't add up with this story, because they ran with the story for at least 12 hours, and then all of a sudden the dog pops in. Yeah, let's examine that for a minute. Now it has been said, and it's a no, and well, I'm saying that it is well known that Joe Biden has a tendency to nod off. He has a tendency to do that. Okay, what is in question is his health. Is he fit enough uh to be seated as president, to run a country? Is he well enough? Is he well enough mentally? That is the other question. Now, here's the thing, that the thing about the Democrats, the fact that several things have not come up is a little perplexing for most. For me, it is not, because we have to understand something. We have to look at the three networks. Let me rephrase that. We have to look at the networks, and I'm referencing Fox, CNN, CNBC, ABC, NBC, all of these networks. We have to look at that very, very carefully. We have to understand. We have to ask ourselves and understand this. Who are the powers that be that run, quote unquote, that run the networks? Who are the powers that be that run the networks? Okay, now get ready for this. Get ready. You have to look at this. You have to understand. You have to understand the dynamics, because when you are able to control the information, you're able to you're able to control the narrative. When you're able to control the narrative, you're able to put out there whatever you want, and no one is going to question that. Okay, and now the media the media are the me these companies, these networks, even portions of the newspaper, are run by Jewish individuals, or Jews. They're run by Jews. And I'm going to give you a little history on why you find why if you do your research and understand something, do your research, do your fact finding. I'm not making this up. You will see this, and then do the backstory on these individuals. The Jews discovered well, let me back up. During World War II, when Nazi Germany went about and were creating what they call propaganda. Propaganda is the creation of information or disinformation towards or about a particular group of people. Now, what the Germans did was created a narrative that the Jews were the reason for the problems of Germany, and they would fly over Jewish communities excuse me, and drop leaflets saying the Jews this and Jews. This is why there was such a hatred for the Jewish community, for the Jewish people. This is why there was such a hatred for them, because of the disinformation that was being spread about this particular set of secular group of people. Now, once the war ended, once it ended, and then fast forward, the Jewish community, the Jews decided what we're going to do, because here's the thing. How could you pay reparations to a group of people if people are constantly saying that the Holocaust never happened? Well, yeah, of course it happened. So what happened? Germany had to pay a restitution. They took that money. Some of them bought banks. Operative word: banks and entertainment, meaning movie studios. What did they do? They decided to change that they were going to be the ones to dictate the narrative. So what some of them bought media. The guy that owns Viacom is a Jewish individual. He is the one because Viacom owns BET. They are the ones that dictate what you are to see, how the news is disseminated and given out. Okay. Now, that being said, there are things about Joe Biden that all of a sudden mysteriously disappeared. Joe Biden was the proverbial Bill Clinton. He was just a touchy feely, because there were several women that have come out and said they felt uncomfortable with Joe Biden touching them. Came out. Hey, welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn. Who do I have on the phone, and where are you calling from?
This is Jay from Georgia.
Okay, all right. Do I need to say more when this brother calls in? Shoot.
Well, you were going into the issue of, well, not really the issue, but the premise of what the Jews can control, what they do control, and how they changed the narrative after the atrocities that occurred from Germany, which is correct. You also alluded to there was a Jewish individual who is the owner or was the owner of Viacom. I like to call him Mr. Deeds, because he was, if you remember the movie by
Cary Grant and Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler, where he's talking about this media mongol who dies just kind of suddenly and has no heirs and all this other stuff. But he's one of the richest media mongols in the world. It's kind of like the guy who used to own Viacom. His name was Sumner Redstone. And the interesting thing about this guy is yes, he was Jewish, but also he controlled a very powerful monopoly of media conglomerates, which includes, as we know, as the parent company, Viacom, Paramount, CBS Television, BET, MTV, VH1. So this particular entity, all in the same, literally has shaped every bit of reality through entertainment that you've seen over the last 40 years. maybe longer. Malcolm X once said, the person who controls the media technically controls the world, because they can make a common man be a criminal and decriminalize or glorify the man who actually is a criminal. So basically, the way that they write the narrative changes everything about what happens going forward. And another interesting thing that we have not quite understood is there are 5 pillars that must be established for any group of people to have a sustainable chance of survival in any society. And those 5 pillars are an economy, politics, or an influence in politics, control of the police and the court system or the judicial system, a media platform, and how the educational system indoctrinates their youth. And if you doubt that, first of all, you're an idiot. But more importantly, you can look at the comparison of how every other ethnicity ensures that above all else, those things are in place for the security and for the comfort of their community. Case in point, the Jewish community has an economy. That economy can be anything from banks to bookkeeping to medical to legal to entertainment. So they have a plethora of avenues that I hesitate to say infiltrate, but nevertheless they control. They have a strong political influence, and they get their strong political influence because they're able to control the media and how this information is narrated.
Let me
throw. They got a double whammy.
Right. Let me throw this. This is, and a lot of people don't know this. And see, as an actor here, and then you want as an actor here in Chicago, as I am, and you run across different people, and then you rub elbows with different people, and you and you start to know who they are. For example, and as you said, these are 2 Jewish guys. These are brothers. Rahm Emanuel, who was the mayor of Chicago a few years ago, but his brother, Ari Emanuel, is one of the top agents in LA. The top guy. You don't get you don't get you just don't get this guy. You don't get this is a guy that you, in order to get with him, you have to know somebody that knows somebody, and you got to also put out a couple of markers just to even get a meet with this guy. But once again, as you said, this leads to the controlling of it, to where we control the narrative. His name is Ari Emanuel.
Correct, and they control the narrative. Again, as I said, they have an economy, they have politics, and they have their influence is both politics combined. So they've combined those 5 pillars into like 4. The police and the court system, they control through the narrative of media as well, because they determine who becomes identified as the criminal and who becomes identified as the victim. The Chicago Sun-Times and the Chicago Tribune is a prime example of how they play with that narrative.
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
have the same story, and because the Chicago Sun-Times is more of an aggressive type of news outlet, they'll paint it one way, and the Tribune, which is more of a conservative, will take that same story and paint it a different way.
Right. And yeah, exactly.
But I'll keep moving.
That is true.
Lastly, education. Now, again, we're talking about the Jewish community. I'm going to go to another community, but they have influence and a control in economics, an influence in politics and media, the police and the court systems, their lawyers. Remember that.
What they,
some of the
what,
best lawyers that you can
yes, sir. And then that's what hence the term where it comes from says shyster.
Then we go through the media, and last but not least, the education system. So they have, just so for the slow people in the room, why do you think that most of your Jewish, really devout and really strong, all go to the same schools and churches? Their children don't go to your schools. Their children don't learn from your books. Why? Because it's important that these 5 pillars are just that, the pillars that determine the destiny of generations. And your black ass keeps sending your kids down to a school that's named after a German or a Scottish or an Irish immigrant who didn't even like black people. And the funny part is, they name those schools after those people in your community as an insult. And you stand there smiling like, oh my God, look at what they've done for us. They done gave us a school. And here's another interesting fact. Every one of your HBCUs, with approximately 10% of them, were named after white people. Howard, there's no black guy named Howard University. It's for Oliver Howard. Morehouse, he's a friend of the Rockefellers. Spelman, her name is Spelman Rockefeller.
Mm-hmm.
Hampton, same thing. Jackson, same thing. And incidentally, here's another interesting fact. These were schools that were originally set up to retrain the Indians from their savage traditions and to make them more sterilized to be acceptable in American society. So imagine that. The American Indian was sent through schools to help sanitize their heritage so that they can be acceptable into white society. And they went in Indian and came out black. I know that was way too deep for a lot of y'all. No, it is. Once Joe Biden takes away your straw and makes you make the same amount of bricks for his pyramids. Let's settle on that.
And make no mistake, people. And make no mistake, people. Joe Biden is going to do just that, because if you pay attention, I want to thank Georgia for calling in, because it's always interesting, and his interesting perspective on opening our minds, because a lot of us are still asleep. Okay, this dude, I make no mistake, because here's the other thing that Biden has done. Biden has created an all woman, and for the first time, an all woman communications team, an all women's communications team. See, if you are, if it's like one of those things where, if you're a criminal and you get arrested and the police don't ask you anything, or you just they don't ask you a thing, but then you say, hey, I didn't do it. Wait a minute now. We didn't ask you anything. You must be guilty of something. Let's look at this for a moment. Let's look at this. Oh well, I hope you call back, whoever caller that is. But hold on. Hey, welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, Chronicles of Rohn. Who do I have on the phone, and where are you calling from?
I'm sorry. One last thing from Georgia.
All right.
Joe Biden. Last thing, very important. 2 things about this guy. He will not finish his term. Let's be very clear. He has onset dementia. You guys are not paying attention. Everything that he's displayed and his lack to stay on task and his inability to complete coherent sentences, that's an onset of dementia. Okay, that's first thing. Second thing is we will be in war by 6 months, guaranteed, because they've got no economic plan. But one thing that does jumpstart an economy is war. War creates jobs in industry, manufacturing, and military, which also offsets population overruns. Just thought I'd drop that out there too. Happy Hanukkah.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. But to piggyback off of that, I see that that's a strong possibility, because when you have no economic development, and right about now, and this is almost to a point to where we have to really look at things where they were and where they are. Okay, when Trump took office, granted, the economy was not in the toilet. It was on the slow climb. And then once he began to change certain things. Now here's the thing, people. Here's the other thing we have to be wary of. I say the economic plan. See, when you are a Democrat, the idea of your economic plan is to spend money that you don't have. Operative word: liberal Democrat. As far as the Republicans are concerned, a conservative Republican, the idea is to save money, but at the same time, we need to find money in other areas, or we need to cut and slash so we can have that money and channel it to other places. Here's the thing, people. When Joe Biden talks about getting in office the first day. Now, here's the funny part. The only president that actually said that I'm going to work the very first day that I'm inaugurated is Donald Trump. Okay. Once again, here we got Biden, who is notorious for plagiarism and piggybacking off of others, says, well, the first day I'm going to work on the day of the inauguration. That's not original, fool. It's not original. Not original. Well, I'm going to do this in the first 100 days. I'm sorry. Trump said that. The man went to work the first 100 days. The first thing he did was straighten out the tax codes. See, here's the thing. The thing about this Biden plan is that he's going to want to roll back a lot of the Trump administration executive orders, or policies, I should say. Let me correct myself. Policies. Okay, and one of those policies is the tax laws. Okay, the tax, which means that don't be surprised, people, that $1,200 that a lot of you got and from Trump that you didn't return, but you don't like him, but you didn't return the money though, did you? None of you returned that money. No, you know what you did? All you were concerned about is that it was it was cashed. The check was cashed. Nobody returned that money. No, of course not. But if this guy does what he says he's going to do, he's going to make you pay taxes on that money, on that $1,200. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to tell you that. See, this is why you have to dig and get into these particular political arenas and understand people that you so-called want to support. You have to understand what they're doing, what they stand for, and why. What is their operative? What are the optics? What is their game plan? That's the thing. A lot of these things he's going to try to roll back. The biggest thing is that it's got to be, if he does try, it has to go through the Senate. Now there's a serious Senate. There's a serious fight for the Senate. And understand something, people. If the Democrats get hold of the Senate, these people are going to show you the true underside of the gooch. And you're going to be wondering, how did this happen? No, you said, oh, I'm glad. Oh, I'm so glad he's out. I'm so glad he's this. But see, well, see, what plays with me is that you got a lot of these, a lot of these jackasses, a lot of these clowns who look like goat lost in high grass, talking about, oh, I'm so glad, but you didn't return that $1,200. Oh, wait a minute. What about those that are receiving extra food stamps or SNAP? What about that? Because signed into legislation to keep giving people extra during this pandemic. But you're not returning that, are you? No, no, you're not going to return that. No, no. But I'm so glad he's out. I'm so glad. Okay, all right. Watch what Watch what Biden do. Watch what they do. Watch. Trust me. I have yet to see a Democrat not do what they say they're going to do and completely screw the Black community over, as they always have, and as they always did, and as they're always going to continue to do. Trust and believe that is what is happening, and it's going to happen. Going back to his cabinet. Now, his cabinet. This is the part that's really mind-boggling, and this is the part where we have to wake up. Joe Biden doesn't have an original bone in his body. If you look at members of his cabinet, it looks like the True Rainbow Coalition. I mean, you got 2 Jews, 4 whites, 3 blacks, a blind, and a cripple. Truth be told, but all of these individuals that he's picking for his cabinet are former Obama administration individuals. You mean to tell me you're that completely goofy that you can't find somebody outside of that's original? It's just basically this is an Obama retread. See, this is their gateway or back door of trying to get certain Obama policies through that this jackass, Barry Santoro couldn't get through. That Barry and Michael couldn't get through, and it's all. This is the thing. Look at the dynamics, people. Look at the dynamics. He's putting women in certain key positions. Why? Because when you put people, or it's like this. It's like the guy who's trying to hide, who committed a crime and trying to cover it up. This guy has been known as the touchy-feely kind of guy. But the media, who is run by Jews, have worked away, because remember now, the Jewish community are the liberal, as they say, the liberal Jew. Of course, we're going to work and cover that up. We don't need that coming out, and it completely blows our plan. Because there are things that I'm surprised that haven't come out about Kamala Harris, that hasn't come out about Joe Biden. The other thing about the one of the guys that he has selected as his nominee is a guy named is a Cuban-born immigrant named Alejandro, who he wants to put in charge of Homeland Security. Are you effing kidding me? No, this is a way of trying to fast track things. This is a way to where, why not put a immigrant, Cuban born, in charge of Homeland Security, which oversees immigration, because they want to continue to push this immigration thing. Make no mistake, when the Supreme Court gets done gutting, looking at DACA is going to go by way of the dodo bird, and there's nothing they can do about it. But as we said before, if DACA continues, that means your black ass is going to get pushed further and further and further to the back of the bus, to the point where they're going to push you right off the bus. Wake up. We have to stop being completely oblivious and blind, and the other part is completely stupid. We have to understand, because the Hispanic community, as we said before, as I push this along, have become the number one minority community in America. The number one. But as we sit there, we get on television and and the other part is that they parade us out there like the proverbial jackasses. They got right. For example, here's another jackass. I'm not understanding people. What is it? What is the problem that you can't see the game that these people are doing? We are the proverbial puppets and allowing them to be the puppet masters. They have a woman right now. She Attorney General for the state of New York. The first words out of, and she's black. And the first words out of her mouth is once I'm in office, I am going to aggressively, operative word, aggressively, investigate Donald Trump's foundations, corporations, and foundations. People, this is a witch hunt because what it is, Donald Trump was the guy in the room who he was the guy in the room that saw everybody else taking their turn. Granted, he took his turn too, but it was just some things that, hey, you know what? I'm not too cool with this now. We can't continue to do this. And this was the thing that that his administration was trying to do. The operative word says, I'm going to drain the swamp. And if you're not understanding that term, meaning draining the swamp means that you're removing the operative, the obvious is removing the water so you can see what's in the swamp. And that is what he did. This is the guy that found money that nobody else knew where it was. For example, when Barry was president, for some reason or another, the Pentagon lost $2.7 trillion. They couldn't find it. The Pentagon somehow or another misplaced. I'm like, it's like, it's like this pen in my hand. I mean, it's not like they misplaced this pen. How do you misplace $2.7 trillion? They couldn't find it. The Trump administration came in, all of a sudden that 2.7 trillion just mysteriously reappeared, which was part of the which was allocated for the stimulus package. The exact number that came up missing was the exact number that they used. That you all got that $1,200 and the additional food stamps. The additional food stamps. The whole point, if you were getting, and there are some people who are getting additional stamps twice a month, but you went out and you sure as hell ran to the poll and voted for this goofy bastard who is going to roll a lot of stuff back. Roll it back. Make no mistake. Here they're talking about anyone that's making over $198,000. We're going to give you certain tax cuts. How does that help me when the top 1% is not even paying their share in taxes? How does that help me? Oh, that's right, because these are their cronies. We got to protect them. These are the people who helped funded his campaign. If you think about it, Joe Biden didn't have a lot of money. It was other people that came about. He didn't have any money. None. This guy just sitting at home, just sitting home, losing his hair and his mind, running around the house, or allegedly, and tripped over the dog. No, he fell asleep against the wall and fell down a flight of stairs. Joe went one way and his shoes went the other. So imagine this guy running the country or falling down the stairs or not proverbially, but falling down a flight of stairs in the White House, and the Secret Service just standing there saying, "Do you see this shit?" And we don't have to worry about it. This guy's going to do it to himself. But the other part is we are going to do things to ourselves also. See, at one point, we as Black people, we were not liberals. We were the most conservative group of people on the face of the earth. Because we understood, because there were certain dynamics that we understood. We understood that if my community is not making any money, if my community is not making money, I'm not making money. I'm not. The conservative means if we're all working as a collective, we're all making money. If we're liberal, meaning that you know what, um, maybe I'll think about it, maybe not, or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna cut a corner here. You know what? No, we're going the wrong way, people. As they say, we're chasing the wrong dog. The money is going the wrong direction in our community because if you look at majority of our communities right now, can you honestly tell me that your Democratic elected official is doing anything for you? Look at Inglewood, look at Roseland, look at the Austin community. Look at places like Compton, California. Look at places in the Bronx, New York, Queens. Look at places in Georgia, Atlanta. Look at places like that. Look at places in Miami. There's an area in Miami called a community. I kid you not. I can't make this up. There's a community called the Pork and Beans Community. Pork and Beans Community. Come on now. I had the opportunity years ago to go to when I went to Georgia, went to Savannah, Georgia. And Savannah, Georgia, I mean, there's literally a economic divide in that city. Downtown looks like downtown Savannah looks like an alley. The main drag, the main street where the Greyhound bus comes to drop you off, it looks like an alley. But if you go further down the road and then cross the river, you will see some of the most beautiful homes. Well, those were the plantation homes at the time, way back when. But if you go across into certain parishes, because they're called certain places in Georgia are called Georgia and Louisiana. They're not called counties; they're called parishes, meaning it's a gated community. We don't want your black ass up here. But you go to Savannah. I was absolutely and next this was years ago, but I was absolutely amazed on what this city looked like. I just said this is not a place I even want to, let alone visit, let alone pass through. I didn't even want to get off. I didn't even want to get off the bus. You go to downtown Atlanta, and downtown Atlanta is where is where a lot of corporate buildings are, such as PepsiCo, CNN, TBS. But if you go to part of downtown Atlanta, you would almost think you're in a third world country. I had never seen so many homeless people sleeping in front of corporate buildings. You go to you go to LA, like even better, you go to San Francisco, which is Nancy Pelosi's district. Nancy Pelosi's district has the highest rate of homeless people in the United States. Then you go to LA, the same thing. They're the second largest. But I'm sorry, that's Kamala Harris's district. Wow. So these are two of the people that you all have said that systematically put out in front to drive the buggy. Guess what? When they get what they want far enough, they're gonna push your black ass out onto the road and say, we can't, you better figure out what you're gonna do. I'm telling you, people, we have to start paying attention to what is going on and how they're doing it, and how we keep allowing. The biggest thing is that we keep allowing ourselves to be bamboozled, to be hoodwinked, to allow these things to continue to be done to us. And a lot of it is self-induced, and a lot of it is self-induced, and the other part is that we continue to allow the narrative to be given to us. That's like white people telling us our heritage. How can they tell us what our heritage is when they've never been black? They don't know what it is to have government cheese, to have that government cheese. or that government oatmeal, government milk, any of these things. These what they call what white America or what the government calls supplement, the real world calls it handouts. We got to understand that. We have to fully understand that the dynamics of where we're at and we are going as a people in this country. And I'm gonna say one more thing because I see the lights in the distance flashing me, but I definitely have to get this out. The other thing, you do not hear the two people who were responsible for the incarceration of thousands of black men. I'm not going to say men of color, thousands of black men in prison for life to this very day. And now they're running, now they want to be in the White House, and that's Joe Biden, the 1993 crime bill, and Kamala Harris, who had a 67% conviction rate of black men. I want y'all to think, I really want you all to think about that. A 67% conviction rate of black men. But anyway, that's all the time we have here on tonight's show, the Chronicles of Rohn, iHeart Intellectual Radio. I want to give a shout out to my man Alex over there at Captain Hooks on 75th. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else. 159th and Kedzie and Markham, 103rd and King Drive, and goodness gracious. Well, you know what I'm talking about. You know, because I got so much going on in my head right now. Also, one more thing. Hey, look, in the coming real soon, we're gonna have a new name for the show. Okay, I want you all to be aware of that, a new name for the show. Okay, so with that being said, not my monkey, not my circus.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.